babies born in Nottinghamshire can now be screened for more than 200 rare conditions, which could lead to earlier diagnosis and treatment. The Generation study has been rolled out to people using maternity services all across the region. It provides an optional free test carried out by using blood samples taken shortly after birth. More than 35,000 families have taken part in the study since it started just a couple of years ago, and that includes East Midlands mum Priya Pancholi, and her second son was tested and found to be absolutely healthy. But her first son, Arav, it came too late. There were no screenings, and he was born in 2022. Sadly, he died shortly after his first birthday from spinal muscular atrophy. Priya says he had been tested. Had he been tested at birth, he'd still be alive today.
It was absolute devastation because SMA is just it's such a harsh diagnosis, and the outcomes are really poor from a parent point of view. As soon as you get that positive pregnancy test, you begin to dream. You dream for your children, don't you, about everything that you want to give them, about everything you want them to experience. You dream such big dreams for your children. The late diagnosis meant that most of his muscle movement was lost, and by which point it had severely affected his breathing muscles, which is sadly that's the big one. So if Arav was screened on the newborn screening program or via the Generation study, SMA would have been picked up very, very quickly. He could have started medication within hours of that diagnosis, and that would have stopped any further deterioration of his condition.
Now, Catriona Hussain is a research midwife at Nottingham's University Hospitals who's involved in the Generation Study project and joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Catriona, why are these tests so beneficial?
Well, at the moment, we just have the newborn screening test, which tests for only about 9 conditions, but the Generation study tests for over 200 genetic conditions. And because they're tested from the cord blood at the birth, it means that the baby can be diagnosed so much earlier and receive so much earlier treatment that could be hugely beneficial for their health outcomes in childhood and later life. So it's essential that they get the early diagnosis and the early treatment.
And what's the response been like from parents who've already taken part in the study?
Well, in Nottingham, we've only just started just before Christmas, but we've had a lot of interest in the study. We're recruiting people face-to-face and over the phone. Everybody is really interested in it. They can just see the benefits of it. I mean, 99% of people get a result that no condition is suspected, and 1% get a phone call from a hospital specialist to say a condition is suspected, right. And then they get straight onto a pathway for care and early treatment. So everybody can see the benefits.
And I would imagine that getting onto that pathway that you talk about is as early as you can, and being as aware as early as you can make all the difference and does make all the difference.
Yes, absolutely. Otherwise, if the test wasn't done, like we've heard, children show symptoms as they're growing up, and you wouldn't know that there was a condition until the child was showing symptoms, and then often it's a little bit too late to start treatment, or the treatment isn't as effective as if it was started earlier. So early treatment and early diagnosis is absolutely essential for the health outcome of the baby going forward.
And I would imagine that, the difference, we've obviously heard of an incredibly sad case, but the difference that can make that early diagnosis makes, as far as then the pathway that you're talking about, and the difference that can make to a baby's life, to a child's life, can be huge.
Yes, absolutely. We've heard from families today, and there's families that have the Generation study talk about that they found a really rare condition that otherwise wouldn't have been found till much, much later in life. So the early treatment has been absolutely, life-changing for the child and for the family. So it's absolutely, it's amazing. And you have to remember that 99% of people taking part in the trial will get a condition not suspected. So then you get the reassurance.
I was just about to
your
say
child
that,
has
yes.
been tested.
That reassurance that, that check has happened, and that in itself must be, a huge sigh of relief. To find an issue, to find a problem is one thing, but also to get that clearance on so many other, different situations, potential situations, is a huge relief to families.
Yes. And then the 1% of people that do have a condition, obviously they get immediate access to a specialist for follow-up tests and treatment plans. And obviously that can help reduce their symptoms and stop them from becoming ill. So, it's an amazing study.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. Catriona Hussain there, a research midwife at Nottingham University's hospitals, who is involved in the Generation Study project.